Everyone knows we're live.
We don't need to, there's no one else to see. So unless y'all want your faces on the TVs.
No.
Okay.
I can see them.
People on the internet will see y'all.
Well, here, let me just start with a couple of things because I got a couple of topics that I want to mention beforehand. And we talked about the smoke shop, and I guess it's called Smokies Vape and Smoke Shop. That came to a specific use permit at the Planning Commission. Glenn's a new member on there. He was there. He can probably tell you more. I tried not to go because I wanted that group to handle that. I did provide some information as well as Glenn provided some information, but it was fairly unanimous in all the discussion. I think the only people who wanted the smoke shop were the two individuals that were there, from what I gather. And Rod called me up and said that it was a unanimous decision to not recommend the specific use permit. This will come to council in the October council meeting, and it'll formally be for that vote. And I'll say this again because I get a lot of chuckles. Is that I've had a whole lot of people call me in regards to making sure it doesn't happen. I have not had one person yet tell me we got to have a smoke shop in Nassau Bay. And I particularly, and Glenn knows this, is having a shop like that. I personally went down to the Galveston Smokies and was very disappointed in what I saw. I bought about $150 worth of things, which were Delta 9, if you remember what I said, Delta 9, Delta 8, Delta 6, which are either directly THC, marijuana, cannabis, active ingredient constituents in the product, or with Delta 8 and Delta 6, they actually modify the molecule over, but it has the same efficacy. There's not the restriction. And they even had things where, most of the things at, like, if you talk to Irma's or whatever, is they limited to like 3 milligrams of overall delivery. They were up to like 5,000 milligrams. So they also had Kratom, which is a opioid addiction mitigator, which has its own, addiction, issues. And what was really disturbing to me was they had a whole, I'm just going to say counter, which was multi-layer of every type of masking, drug modification for drug testing so that you could, cheat or not get identified as being on drugs. So masking mitigators, as well as for meth, cocaine, and other type of drug tests, so that people who were using and they knew they had to do a drug test would be able to take the test themselves, so they can see when to go in and take the test. And they even had synthetic urine and stuff like that. So this is not your, CBD, kind of just paraphernalia shop. This is a true, active head shop, and that's particularly alarming for our city is that there is a adult and adolescent, in particular, substance abuse and treatment clinic right behind that store. It's 20 yards away. I took a rangefinder out there just to see the exact distance. So if you look at, they're wanting to be right next to Starbucks, right? And if you look at there, I took a picture for the Planning Commission just so that you could see the front door of the treatment center, and you see right next to it the Starbucks, drive-through that's there, and it literally is 20 yards, and it was 75 yards from from the pediatric autism group. So on multiple fronts, whether it's the type of business and what it's located at, it's just, there's good reason why everyone's against it. And I think it's probably going to be unanimous here. But I wanted to give people an update that the Planning Commission formally recommend not proceeding with a specific use permit. So I thank you for that, Glenn.
Hey, Phil, question. Have you had any communications with the owner?
Yes, they were there. They were there.
And what's their demeanor, temperament?
Well,
Surprise or?
they and you may know this, but what I've heard, because I'm trying not to be part of these committees and stuff like that. I want to make sure that they do their things. I gave information, and they told me afterwards that they initially had said they had gotten some nod of that it would be okay from some of the people on staff. And, so from that standpoint, I think my belief is they were probably a little bit exaggerating in that, because indifference, which doesn't stop somebody, may be considered, a buy. But I don't think anybody who really knows this would do that. But I do know that about 6 years ago, there was a change for how we process, business registration and things, where it comes over here to Tiffany's desk. And I think some of that may be just, routine, just we got people coming in and doing this. And that's been changed because we've got to have better oversight. That's not a police thing. That's an administration side. And I really like what Zena has done here, which is between business registration, between certificate of obligation and specific use permit, it's all going to be on one piece, so that you can't have 3 different people thinking 3 different things that aren't talking to one another. And even though we're a small city, that I think is maybe some of the reason why this almost came to fruition. So, and we're also making sure we talk to the people about that, because if they had gotten their certificate of occupancy before getting a specific use permit, that would have been the whole shebang. We wouldn't be able to get them out, and it would have been a done deal. So I think that's a lot of good work on citizens, a lot of good work here now on staff, and I thank the Planning Commission for doing the right thing. I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
There were, I didn't bring my notes, but close to 10 citizens spoke against it.
Yeah.
And they cover the full gamut of reasons why they were against it.
Mm-hmm.
Addiction to nicotine, to all the neighborhood things that covered the full gamut. And then the 2 owner operators that were there, they were totally surprised by the feedback. They were incredulous at all the negative feedback, and they almost walked out. Then they did get up, and the owner spoke for just a minute or so and pleaded his case. It wasn't a very strong case at all. And that was, I think they were really surprised at the strong negative feedback.
Yeah, that's what I understood.
Apparently they I don't know how many other stores.
I know exactly. I tell you, I've been talking to all the liquor stores, gas stations, Irma's, CVS. Did some research. They have in the state of Texas, they have 2, one in Cypress and one in Galveston. And then in Louisiana, they have one in Lake Charles and one in Sulphur. So Sulphur's right at the border on I-10 between the 2. And, this was going to be their 5th expansion as a chain here in Nassau Bay. And I believe we've done the right thing. I believe also here, and I think, like I said, really appreciate the Planning Commission doing that. I see it having really rough time at council, so I don't think there. but I'll also stand by this is they may try to do a legal challenge. They may, I mean, they have a angle that they may just say, hey, they're a commercial type things and want to come in, and we don't have the ability to do that. But I've told staff, and I believe it's going to be very unanimous that we're going to need to be told by a judge of competent jurisdiction that we must, and we will fight legally to do it. So if they want to fight, they'll get one. And I pledge that to everybody here. So.
Well, they can probably go down the street
I think,
a mile and a half and find a spot.
so
You know, they don't
if
have to
Roscoe
do
was
anything.
here, he said that's what happened back in 2012 with High Times. They tried to come in here, we pushed off, and they went across the street,
Right.
which is, I mean, that's outside our jurisdiction. We don't have control, but there's a big difference from being on our side versus their side.
So I'm sure that if they're determined,
Correct.
they can find
The-
a spot
the-
within the 5-mile radius.
The only thing is and they, you know, I thought High Times went out of business. Maybe I didn't go over there, but there's also another smoke shop. I mean, there's a couple. Webster's known for their smoke shops, believe it or not.
And bar.
And bars, right?
We got one right next to, little Korean barbecue place right there on that.
Yeah.
Little strip as you're coming up to 270 before you make the right.
Oh, by Nobby's and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got
And
one they just put in not long ago
If
there.
they-
They got one over by the old HEB.
So I'll just say this is my good neighborhood policy that I'm sending these things to my neighbors.
Yeah.
So.
You would like a sales tax,
However.
Yeah, Webster will do anything for sales.
But no, it's this store was, you know, I was actually shocked because when I went in there, their building, they had closed all the windows, you couldn't see inside. So it was not where you could from the street look in and see stuff. Now they've got it darkened there, but you know, with stuff, but their other store, they actually had physical barriers that to keep people from looking inside. And if people want, rather than talking on, you know, taking too much time here, I can tell you some of the clientele
So
that I
they
saw
were
there.
an in-house smoke shop?
They were not. They were not. But the fears of the clientele that would go to a shop like that, and just so you know, you mentioned about the people there. I had 4 of the merchants right there in strip center write me personally and just ask that the city not do that. They considered that to be detrimental to their business, and to have the full power of the city try to keep them from coming in, as well as I have numerous citizens write in. So I think we did the right thing, and we'll see where it goes from here. But I commit that the city will fight this legally and use our whatever authority we have to make sure that if they want to fight and they want to spend money, well, we've got a reserve to be able to do that, and I'm prepared to do that.
Sounds like for a business plan, they're all over the place. I mean,
I actually think what their business plan is soup to nuts on anything that you want to smoke is up to the line of the legal definition of a drug they're going to provide, and they will help you make sure that you don't get it result on a drug test to make it difficult for you at employment or a treatment center or anything like that.
I think that, to me, what's important is just the public awareness of the variety of products that were being sold.
Yeah, correct.
That could be sold and that are available to the youth.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's phenomenal.
it really is.
And it's not like they're emulating drugs, they are. I mean, you
They
want
are.
a high, you walk in the store and you put $10 on the table and you get a high.
Yeah, I mean, it
A
is.
significant high,
Yeah, so it was like Delta 9 is THC.
yes.
And they, just to give, to broaden what Glenn said is, I purchased joints of it where they actually had it in ice cream flavor for kids. Just to show, I mean, that's not, you know, that's not an adult flavor, things like that. That's for a kid who's, 15, 13, 12, right? They had what I call like snow globes, but instead of having water in it, it was a globe that you see, and they had synthetic Delta 9, Delta 8, and Delta 6 of each one of actual what looked like marijuana buds, so that you could actually look, say it like it really, emulate that it was, and it synthetically Delta 9 is that. So yeah, they had all different types of gummies, and I do mean gummies. They had gummy bears that were in there for stuff. They had something my daughter had mentioned, and it didn't hit. They even had things for snacks. So like chips, so that kids taking things into a school, the school just thinks they have potato chips or something like that. And yeah, Doritos or whatever it is. They had stuff like that. I was shocked at what they had.
Hey,
So
Phil, sounds like it was a very good meeting. I'm sorry I missed it. I wasn't aware of the meeting. How are we, like I went last week on the Nassau Bay website, city website, and I looked on the calendar. The only thing I saw was city council meeting and your coffees. No other.
So there's something you may be looking at, because I know it was on the calendar. It was on the calendar for a while. Yeah. So it's
on Facebook.
yeah.
So what's our?
They had announced it 2 or 3 times. I mean,
Yeah. This one was scheduled like 2-3 weeks beforehand, because they came in and they actually finally submitted for the specific use permit, and we wanted to make sure that we were in certain time frames that did that. So I think it was up for 2-3 weeks.
I must not be on Facebook connected.
So
Okay, I have a question then. If it's on Facebook, is it also on the city website?
that's my understanding is yes. We can confirm that, and Cheney, if she's watching, can do that. But my understanding is that's the case.
And what I do is usually, early in the week and then midweek, I'll actually check through the meeting agenda archives, because they have to be posted downstairs.
Yep.
And it's got to be posted up
Correct.
on the website. And so you can actually.
I'd even go one
see the
step
agenda.
further. Because of state law, if we don't post it in the proper timeframes on the website, it is a criteria that we don't meet Open Meetings Act. So it has to be. Otherwise, it's not complete.
I read it through Facebook.
Yeah.
On the Nassau Bay, politics.
Correct. We do that. Well, the Nassau Bay politics page is this guy right
I
here.
know.
But it's also on the City of Nassau Bay one too. So, and you saw I intervened in some of the things here. We actually had some discussion. I thought it was very constructive.
That's why one of the things I like about having that forum is that
Yeah.
it's as open as possible and try to keep it as polite as possible.
Yep.
And not like
Hey,
neighbors
Phil,
sits out.
about a year ago was the last city council was working, led by Ashley Graves, on doing an iPhone app for the city of Nassau Bay. Is that dead? Or
I don't think it's dead. It's just, with things here, a lot of stuff's waiting for the new city manager. That was my next topic coming in. I'm very happy to report that this is the last day we will be without a permanent city manager. That as of 8:00 in the morning, Monday, Nathan Bird, I had lunch with him yesterday. He's here. He's got everything there. His kids are settled. He's raring to go. And I would also please get out. I've asked Cheney to make sure it's publicized. We're starting our council meeting early. If you remember, I take my role as a host very important. We're going to have a welcome and greet for any citizens, and have some juice and cookies or whatever, just to be able to have a time for some informal, casual welcome and greet for at 6:00. Correct, for Nathan. So it wouldn't surprise me. It's not a requirement, but it wouldn't surprise me to have Jolene, which is his wife's name, Jolene, and their 4 children. So they have kids from 6 to 13, I believe it is.
What date is this, Phil?
Monday. next business day. So as of, call it 11:30, when we close the next business day, Nathan Bird will be our permanent city manager. 9/11.
Does he get like sworn in or is he? just-
No, he's actually, we have an employment agreement with him. And I'll, mention here, we did a lot of the learnings that we had from some of the experiences we've had over the past year, to make sure that we have a good one, and his start date is September 11th. So, yep. Nathan Bird with a U, not an I. Nathan Bird. He's from Michigan, but he'll actually tell you he's a Ohio State, Ohio resident, and even though he's in Michigan, he gets a lot of grief for being a Ohio State Buckeyes fan in where he is or he was.
Where's he going to live down here?
So right now he has a 1-year waiver on the requirement to live in Nassau Bay. I believe they found a place in Bay Forest, which is about a 7-minute drive to Nassau Bay. He and I talked about that. We wanted to be within a 10-minute concentric circle, and he has that waiver. We did the same thing for John and Brenda Kennedy. If you remember, they actually they couldn't find a place. They ultimately ended up building a place. So they built a new home here in Nassau Bay. So, and my understanding of the housing market, it's pretty tight. And for somebody who has 4 kids, and I believe Jolene has a business out of the house, they truly need a minimum of 5 bedrooms, and not a lot of those in Nassau Bay. So we will see.
I said, Colleen Etheridge is trying to sell her house. It's big.
Yeah, I know.
She got a separate apartment.
I know it wasn't on at the time, so I actually sicked Renee Dollar and Colleen, and I think Jill Abel as just the cadre of folks. I said, you got to help this guy, because I wanted him here, and they all conspired together, particularly Renee and Colleen. So I thank them here. And Renee took a big point in that. But there was just not much available at the time. So, and they had a real drive. I mean, they went in, particularly Jolene went into like real blinding speed. She had moved in and had the kids enrolled at Bay Area Christian by August 14th. So she's been here a month. I believe he's been here 3 times for a weekend, and now he's here permanently. So, okay. But I'm very pleased. And I want to say this, the staff has been great. And particularly the last 2 months, I've seen just a real sense of teamwork coming together. I can't say enough for Jaime. I can't say enough for Zena. I can't say enough for Cheney, the chief. I mean, it's just, I think a lot of the things that were, they kind of imposed on them that they had to deal with coming out of the earlier part of the year, they've really stepped up here recently. And I can't wait for Nathan to come in, because then that'll just be another permanent thing. And it's just, I'm pleased with what I believe will be a path forward for Nassau Bay. And
Go stay with us?
I hope so. I mean, I have to be careful here, because it is not my role to present a city secretary for employment. That is a city manager responsibility. We have the ability to we have to vote and agree with him, but he's got to present it. And I do know that Nathan has made many very complimentary statements with Zena. I hope she doesn't get mad at me. I think she would like to stay here. I believe she is very valuable to us. She's very knowledgeable in state law, And if there's one thing that Nathan will have to come up to speed is the difference between Michigan and Texas. And, I think she could, I think they'll make a really good dynamic team. So I'm hopeful that'll be the case. So, and I'll try to sprinkle some magic foo-foo dust and see what.
What do
see
we
what-
need to do to encourage him to do that?
So I think he knows from council that she's done, and I gave him, kind of 3 early objectives, and I said the very first thing is just, Nathan, just do no harm, right? Come in here and learn, get there. I'm going to send him, and I'm going to put out different emails of people who I believe he should know because they are important. They're people who do more than just follow. They're people who help shape our city, and everybody knows a good group. There's a people there, so I want him to know those names, and it's going to be across the spectrum of everybody's perspective because that's how I think Nassau Bay wins. I do believe this process of how we did his selection really brought together citizens, staff, and council, and I want to push everything I can to keep that way. So I'm going to help him here. I think as I said, do no harm. I said do some of the things of low hanging fruit. I said particularly with your staff. So I think that there's a low hanging fruit there, Barbara, and I think he knows that. And then I said, look at our organization. We have a lot of faith, a lot of unanimity among the city staff, and that. Look at our organization, look at our objectives, and look at things, and start getting involved. Take the reins, go. And that was kind of the direction I gave him.
So Phil, as he comes in and learns the job and begins to establish some goals and objectives, what interaction will he have with you and the council in terms of the goals that he establishes?
Yeah, so I mean, as part of the budget, we kind of go through the actual objectives, and I've been making sure he's been involved in those because those are the things that need to be done. But above and beyond that, and he knows this, I just told him, and I said, I don't want to get into how we got here. I said, but over the past 10 years, we've kind of systematically taken apart a lot of good management systems, and you're a big proponent of that, which is, we don't have a personnel, performance appraisal system. Our building permit process is challenged. We have different things just around strategic planning, our comprehensive plan that needs some updating. Those things have got to get the attention they need. And
that's what I was thinking. It wasn't the ongoing projects.
Yeah, it's
a lot of areas for improvement.
There's
putting them down and then prioritizing. Where do you begin?
I mean, in a certain sense, I think a lot of that is why we have some of the differences of opinion, because people just have different sets of data because our systems are poor, and we end up arguing because we don't know the full, all different things because we don't know the full story. And I'm committed to that dragon. So, but I'm probably the most excited to have him come because it'll take a lot of work off my side. I did want to mention some things about the budget because I think there's some things. There's a real I believe the budget is done. You're gonna see on Monday the presentation of it, and then I believe September 25th we finalize it. There is a heavy emphasis, as people would think, on infrastructure and public safety. You'll hear even on Monday we've given the go ahead, or we're going to give the go ahead to address a real limit to, or I should say, our fire department and our ISO ratings for insurance has got two areas that are lacking, and some people here know that, but I'll repeat them. One is the pressure grid in our water system is low. It's mediocre, and my words, not things, substandard in some of the ancillary areas. The other is the lack of a ladder truck with all the raising of property that's taking place. And I got the FEMA lifting of homes. We were successful in 2022, so you're going to see going forward that 19 new homes have been approved to be raised. It's gone through, and talking to Phil Hempstead and Jeff Ward, they've never seen things not go forward once they've gotten through this stage. So they're very, very happy. We've had about a 3-4 year period where we haven't, and I'm very pleased. Worked very hard to make sure that this program get back on its feet. And as of now, I can say we've got our first new 19 homes that are going to be raised. And I think, Pete, you already knew that. But the reason there is when you look at our insurance rating, they are as good as our guys are. They did not give us credit for mutual aid for our sister cities, Webster and Seabrook, as specifically in having availability of a ladder truck. Like I mentioned, with Methodist and the buildings that they've built, the Moody's Surgical Center, all of the homes being raised. Now you got a number of them that are 3 stories that are there. We got almost no credit for mutual aid. And the other was, I mentioned about the pressure grid. You'll hear on Monday, as part of our budget, we've put forward, they're going to move with a bid. They're going to start tearing up the area right up on Nassau Road 1. We're replacing what I call the main header of our main water system and supply that will drastically enhance the amount of water into our grid. It is currently an 8-inch line, and they're going to put in a 12-inch line, and that's going to more than double the amount of water that can be pushed through our system, and so that will definitely change and give us better rating when we have to do this again. The insurance rating happens every 5 years. We got 5 years to correct this. So that's going to take a better part of our next fiscal year, a good part of that to do that. We're also taking out all areas that from that header that would be 90s or 45s as much as we can, because we want to have pure water pressure and pure water flow coming off that header, as everyone could gather. And I just say this as I know in my homes, we've had some, you turn on your faucet and we don't have the best pressure in our city. And my bet is you're going to see a noticeable difference even in the residents
I disagree. Ever since they put in the new water lines, the pressure in my house is fantastic.
Then that's great. It's not everywhere.
What do they do on your street?
So we're further away from the header. But you've also seen we've put in more fire hydrants, so all that's helpful. I'm determined to make sure we maintain our ISO rating of 2, and I'll come back to some of the numbers. But I mean, if we go between a 2 to a 3, just go one step, that could be approaching $300 of higher insurance rates for each and every citizen as an average things, because that's what the insurance companies look for. What is your infrastructure? What are your services? What is everything geared to be able to provide for property, or saving property, protecting property? And the more you have those things, the less they have a risk of damage in an event. So Those are real important things that people don't always know about. And so you'll see that. I'll start with just infrastructure here, going through stuff. There's another 4 miles of water line replacements. The people who have gotten the new water lines, you can see that they did not break during this high heat period, and the water pressure's nice in different places. So it's done what we've wanted it to do, but we still have a long way to go. And I wanted to make sure we had a constancy of purpose here. There is another 4 miles of water lines, which I believe is going to take care of 95% of the vulnerable areas. We will see after that if we need to do that, but it's there. We're also going to replace the force main down Upper Bay, which is the main line going to our water treatment plant. I think I've mentioned here before when they were repairing the street right there at Upper Bay and Prince William, there was like the never-ending concrete job. That's because they had, in digging out stuff, they had hit the force main, and it was so weak it broke. And it took us a month to find a way to repair that. So it was very clear that has to be replaced. That's a critical piece of infrastructure, and that'll be done here too. So I'm very, very pleased with that. So on the public safety side, I mentioned we have found the way in order to be able to put the capitalization together for a ladder truck in Nassau Bay. Tom George and the volunteer fire department have been given the okay to finalize the design basis. We want it no later than the January of next year, but I think Tom's targeting for November. The reason for that is because the cost of these fire things have gone up substantially. There's another increase coming out, and the way in which they do things is that if you commit to a PO, you lock in your price. So and it's going to take 3 years to build. So we're putting in an accrual system that is going to put away about $300,000 a year. And then if you look at our debt load come 2027, we'll have certificate of obligations come off, and it's about $1 million. So we should have the ability to refinance those 2027 certificate of obligations with another $900,000 of actual equity that we've put away in a war chest, so that we will be able to afford it 3 years down the line. And that's in place as we speak. So I'm very pleased, and I think the fire department is very pleased that they've seen the city commit to that piece of equipment. And again, between that header up there and a ladder truck, I believe that'll preserve that ISO rating of 2, which is real money to citizens. So that's in the budget. There's also in the budget a new police interceptor that's there. So we're changing out a high maintenance interceptor, and going to capitalize and put that in the fleet, as well as we're going to get the flock system for those here, and that's Glenn knows what I'm talking about here. I think Brian, you know it, and Pete is. This will allow us to put stationary cameras at the entranceways coming into Nassau Bay that will be able to pick up license plates, and if there are people with ongoing warrants, different types of things, if there's license plate for the amber system, anything along that line, our guys can pick it up like that. And it won't take the effort to do those things. There's the one concern about privacy and things like these are up on the cloud, and the only way we get the information is when somebody of criminal nature actually triggers the system, and that'll trigger information to our police department.
So it's really the license plate that triggers, right?
It does. It's not facial recognition, if that's what you're implying. No, it's not. It's license plates.
That's what keeps privacy out of it, right?
Correct. And I'll give Glenn credit here. we couldn't afford it a couple years ago, and it came up, and then you started showing the information, and council took that to heart, and given some of the restructuring we did, we created the finances to be able to afford these reinvestments. And to me, having the tools for our volunteer fire department, the state-of-the-art tools for our police department is how we keep control of our costs, public safety to the forefront. It's one of the things I think differentiates us from other people. So that's in this budget. Okay.
Well, can I ask maybe a strange question? What's an interceptor? Is that a type of vehicle?
Police car. A police car.
Just, so you're gonna replace one of the ones that
Correct.
we have?
Correct.
And why, not why does it need to be replaced,
So-
but what's the advantage of?
So there's twofold. Twofold is that we're on a stagger and a rotation as we go through our fleet. We replace things as they trigger certain criteria. A lot of them are miles, because the start and stop nature, the idling nature really puts a huge, burden on vehicles. Police are known for chewing up vehicles. So it's triggered that, as well as it has this vehicle over the past year in particular has abnormally high maintenance, where it's been in the shop and unavailable to people. So we just want to change it out. It's time. And I'm a big believer in staggering of capital costs, because that's how you don't ever get a huge blip. And, instead of having to change out 4 or 5, you just do one at an appropriate time. And this one is time it's staggered. I want to maintain that.
Okay, I
So
was
how
thinking,
many interceptors do we have total, Phil?
I'll have to get back to you on that. I think
And an interceptor is just a
police car.
It's not a souped up
Correct.
police car? It's a,
no, it's just our, that's what I'm using police lingo.
right.
Just honestly, it's a police car.
that's what
But
I
they
was
call it
thinking,
an
because
interceptor because
it
it's,
sounded like something that was for like high-speed chases.
No, I don't-
Yeah, that's what
I
thought.
don't-
Where you get
I thought it was
high-speed
a-
chases around
space park, right? That alley.
Right down Nashville Road.
But it is also when there's mutual aid and stuff like that, people up on Nassau Road 1. So they've got, and
So it's just a police car.
it's a police car.
I think that there's a great opportunity for the city to communicate back and forth, because people treat National Road 1 like a racetrack.
They do.
If you're able to tell.
Particularly after
guys
midnight,
racing down the
if
street.
you're particularly after midnight. So
Yeah,
With
is it
the
really?
ladder truck, is there a trade-in? Do we lose one of the other trucks?
we'll lose one of the other trucks, and Tom is
We'll get some
very,
money for that.
but it's minor. He's thinking it may be $75,000, Glenn, and to me it'll be what it'll be. But I'm very pleased that we're belling up to that, because I'll give another thing to our volunteer fire department. And this is not just biased because we're in Nassau Bay. They are truly the #1 fire department in this area. They are the #1 fire department, volunteer fire department in this whole region. And the reason is Tom has built a very highly competent group that has the tools that they need to do. And we maintain that to make sure they have like the ladder truck, that there's not gaps. Because if somebody wants to be a fireman as a employment, they come to Nassau Bay. You'd be surprised how many people, they'll volunteer, they'll get their credits, they'll do things, and then they'll go to Webster or the others, and they'll work their way up as the ladder for paid positions. And I love that, because their ability to have such a crack outfit saves us. I'm just, if you just look at the straight FTEs, $1.5 million, if we had to have a paid fire department, they are probably the single largest benefit to the city in saving money. And Tom would argue it's even higher than that. you know, when you get to those altitude of cost savings, it doesn't matter. It's a lot. It's big. It's number one. So we do not want to have a paid fire department. If we have to, we will. But God bless those guys. What they've created has been just such an asset to the city.
Okay, indirectly, you answered a question for me, because when the conversations went on the previous meetings about ladder trucks, I counted the holes in the new building, and I'm going, we don't have enough empty spaces.
It's gonna.
They're all filled.
They're gonna change out one. They're gonna change out one.
And the ladder
Correct.
truck will fit in.
It will. It was built to be able to handle a ladder truck.
Oh, great.
It was designed that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Let me see. The other is there was a lot of focus, particularly on our public works group, salary wise. So I'm pleased to say that that's going to be addressed. And you know, I'll come back to the tax rates, as everyone would probably, you know, we believe we finalized it at our Tuesday workshop. The strategy that we've taken is that we wanted to be for our O&M and all the activities at a no new net revenue position, which is what we did last year. But I'm going to say one exception, and I mean this here, and this is feedback that I challenge every citizen to give people on council if they want us to do this. So the only thing that we couldn't do and reduce our expenses is to be able to pay for that $300,000 for the ladder truck. So all other expenses are being held to the no new revenue level, plus the $300,000 that we have to do to accrue for a fire truck. That's kind of the policy for what we're setting with that. What that means is that the tax rate will be just a little higher than last year's tax rate by I think around about a penny. So it'll be, instead of 6.648, it'll be 0.658. But I should have had those numbers. But that's what we're coming down to in regards to the budget, because people wanted to stay within what we established last year for all other O&M, and then we're accruing for the fire truck.
So county finally got us the values?
Monday.
Oh, it just came in.
Monday.
Aren't they required by law to have it to us like August 1st or something?
No, they're not. They say they're targeted to have
Oh,
them.
they target August 1st.
Correct.
Get it to us.
Last year, I think we were still waiting. I mean, we got them like the day before we had to have our final one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there'll be the final adoption. There'll be a special meeting on the 25th, and that will formally create that as our October 1st fiscal year budget.
What was the increase in property value?
It was a lot. If I remember, overall, it went from, and I changed, Zena, if I'd appreciate this, but be my steward, went from about $750 million to about $1 billion of property value. And the largest piece of that was done by the commercial area. I think the overall impact for us would have been about 6.5% increase, because we're capped. I mean, if property values go up 30%, the laws of the state of Texas only allow us to go up to a certain amount, whereby we have to come to the citizens for a referendum. So we can't just say, oh, we're going to ride that all the way. There's requirements, I think, at the right at about the 7% level that would require us to have a referendum. I'm using some numbers. I can get those specifically if you would like.
It's supposed to be based on the 3-year rolling average, right? You
It-
can increase your tax rates over those 3 years, and
It is.
basically
We,
buy into it.
believe it or not, by us taking the no new revenue state, which means your overall dollars, means your rate. If If you look at our rates are going like this because we've taken that position. But it also gives you, for a 3-year period, as you mentioned, credits that if you want to go past that. So we've actually have credits that if we ever want it, and I like to give that to future council members rather than us use them.
I was like, I got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hopefully that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, so they'll go from, well, hang on a sec, it's the sum of those two. Hang on.
Sounds to me like with the increase in taxable value, you should have been able to absorb the 300K without increasing the tax rate.
So no, not at the net new revenue level, right? Because so what they do is, and you'll see this as a truth in taxation. What they'll say is if your property values go from $750 million to $1 billion, they'll tell you at $1 billion how you had the same revenue as $750 million, and that'll be your tax rate, and that's your no new revenue tax rate. You follow me?
So
They decrease the rate to match so that you say, because there's two ways to look at it, and this is something I really like about what Jaime's doing, is he's got it so much more apparent, and he's focused on dollars. So that's what I look at, is what comes out of your wallet, right? And when you look at dollars rather than tax rate, the no new revenue says from 1 year to the next, your dollars of taxation, for your property stay the same. You don't pay more taxes, which means your rate has to come down in order to make sure that the extra valuation doesn't. Right?
So when you say it's going up, you don't mean the rate's going up, you just mean the total amount.
So here, let me, yeah, so,
It's gonna go up 1 cent
so-
per thousand.
yeah, that's what it, so,
From last year.
no, so at a no new, it would actually have gone down to like 0.61 from where we're at 0.6. I'll do the things here. But because we need $300,000 more for the fire truck, it's going up to where it'll be a little, if you'll let me do the numbers, I'll say here exact, because I want transparency here.
So it went from 0.66 to 0.61, but now absorbed 300K, it's got to go up.
So no, it's actually from 0.64, almost 65, it'll go to 0.65. So hang on, if you give me 2 seconds. Correct. Correct. So, I mean, if people want no new, and this is what I challenge to get feedback to the people on council. Our strategy was, from some of the things we did before, we don't, for all the things like the infrastructure and stuff like that, we don't need more revenue. We're gonna do this on the same tax dollars, but we couldn't do this and buy a ladder truck. So the strategy here is we're asking the citizens to help us accrue $300,000 a year to buy a ladder truck. And that's the, if I boil it down to a concept, that's what we're doing. And it means it goes from, and I keep wanting to do this, 0.59.
Can't talk.
I can't actually, not with math.
And it was something like 70K for every penny, right?
It is.
So for every penny of tax rate increase, the city increases its revenue by about 70K. So 300K would be.
No, see.
4 cents.
So our tax rate's going to be 0.656603. And what I asked for, Cheney, if you hear me, what is our current one? I believe it's 0.6489. So it's going to go up not quite a full penny in a rate.
Well, what is every $100 million increased value decrease the?
So you do it by 0.6, the rate here. So if you look at the way Jaime put the budget together, was every penny increase, and Glenn got was just under $70,000 of additional revenue from our no new revenue baseline.
That's every penny of additional tax.
Every tax rate.
Tax rate.
Right, that's not, my question is, what is every $1 million increased value of the city?
It would times it by the tax rate. So if your tax rate is
So it goes $60,000.
0.656 times $1 million, it'd be 656.
And so times that times 250, because we want $250 million.
Yeah, but the tax rate though has come down to be no new net revenue.
I get that.
Correct. So
It just seems to
so
be
let me put it this way. If you go back 4 years, we had a tax rate of like 0.8 something. Now we're at point. You're a darling.
But
Thank
this
you.
is from Jaime, so if the
Yes.
numbers, he's the math guy.
0.6489. He made me clairvoyant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it used to be 0.648979, and it's going to be 0.656603. And that will allow us to be able to amass $300,000 of additional revenue to accrue for the ladder truck. Otherwise, it would have been 0.61 something. And you were at the meeting that would have been the no new revenue.
Can you put the word out to people in the neighborhood who have money that we need a new ladder truck?
I believe it's people have heard that. We probably need to do better always, Barbara. I mean, it's.
There are people in the neighborhood who can make significant donations to that.
Yeah, so I'm going to give Lucy Sommer real credit here in the going through stuff is because Michelle Weller was trying to make sure we keep taxes down. So we actually we're going to target to be about 50 to 60,000 below our no new revenue on the base. But she said, we've never adjusted the ability to donate more than $2 on your water bill. So she's you're going to see either it's going to be on council for our Monday meeting to allow for another tier to go to $5. So you can choose to do 2 or 5. We didn't want to just go to 5 because everybody who's doing 2 may not want to do that. And, we didn't want to surprise people by having them donate 3 more than they knew they were donating. So you can every month, every citizen can now donate $5 on their water bill to the volunteer fire department.
I was thinking of the people in the neighborhood who could actually donate $1 million and never been to.
So the only one that I really know is Methodist that has the things to be able to do that. There may be others. I'd be happy to talk to you afterwards but they have not been in a position to do that as of late. But if there's others, I'd be all ears. So just to move on, because I see we're starting to move out of time. Any other questions about the budget? That's what you're going to see. A high emphasis on infrastructure and public safety. And there's going to be 20 more trees up on Nass Road 1, 10 on either side. So the first esplanades, either on the western side or the eastern side, are going to have 10 trees. And then it'll be, we've made the decision, pardon me, each side, correct. 20 trees, correct. And that's so people coming in will see that majestic module. And then the decision, at least to this point, is we really want to have some innovative discussions because we don't want 160 trees up there that may get frozen. We want to do something in between that is consistent with a majestic modules, but just not be modules. So, and I don't know the answer to that.
Did we save the crepe myrtles that are out there? They were in
I've seen some of them turn, and I don't know. I mean, one of the things is I was talking to Paul. I said, "Are you sure we're up there, watering?" And he found I think 15 to 20 breaks of our irrigation system, and so they were turning it on, and it really wasn't. So they fixed those. I hope so too. I see them turning some of the ones that I'm worried about, like on the eastern side of Upper Bay Road, as you're coming out on Nass Road 1, the left looks great. They're green as can be. To the right, they're look challenged.
I did see a water truck.
They did. So that's what Paul and I came up with, is that since they were broken, get the water truck out there to do them, to try to do that. So that's correct. There's been some confusion or lack, or maybe it's just because there's a change. You'll see on our website that the Halloween in the Park quote has been canceled, or it's on Facebook. It hasn't been canceled. What's happened is they put it on the Facebook and web page, and we've gotten almost 900 like we'll be there hits. Okay, and last year we had about 750 people that showed up, and it was a problem. We had it was so much there where trunk and treat that emergency vehicles couldn't get back to the waste treatment plant. I mean, it was, don't get me wrong, it was a fun event, but it was way bigger than anything we really want to have here. It was mostly from people outside the community. So they're taking it down and putting out a cancel. It's not canceled. It's canceled for public digestion outside of our city. So, pardon me? Stealth mode, and you're going to see things more, done, communicated elsewhere, because we're over a month before, and have like 900 hits of people who say they're interested in coming. We just can't do that. We just can't.
We just really don't need to put it on public stuff like that.
Correct.
It just
Correct.
brings them in
I mean,
everywhere.
I'm a little bit balanced on that. I mean, I like having young families come in to see what we're doing and look at, hey, I didn't know that. But we just can't handle an event like 1,000 people up in one area. I mean, 4th of July, we have it throughout the whole city, right? This is it right there in front of the pavilion, basically, in the pavilion, and 1,000 people there just swamp that area. And it just doesn't work. And I'm not going to substitute fun for public safety. So the Lucy's going to be working. It's probably going to be by, direct, either by the targeted, discussions that have a more controlled group, on there, as well as it may be done by flyers on doors or something along that line.
Sure,
Signs on the esplanades, things along that line.
Just word of mouth.
So, but it's 900 a month beforehand says, oh, Christ. Yeah. Yeah, that's well, it'll be in the Compass Rose. So so.
You're not paying a water bill, guess what? You don't get notified.
Yeah. But no, that's real, and it came to me, and I supported canceling it. And what's good about this is it's going out to people as canceled. It's not canceled. Just to reiterate. Yeah.
Two questions. First one is, I've been going by Arafat's old place, and things are at a standstill.
They are. So he's right now looking at where to put the other vehicles, is what I understand. So I'm just very pleased we got to hear, right? But he's taken down a lot of the signs, so he's not gonna reopen. And I think again, I'll say this is I'm really glad how it worked out, that as we were ratcheting up the code enforcement, I think he just looked at it and said it's time to stop. And he's helped out a lot of individuals in this neighborhood. So having him do that, I think, has probably been the best outcome of all things.
And then my other question is, have you received any information as to when the charter committee is going to be setting up their?
No, actually, I met with things here, and what I'm asking city attorney is, some of the people who are new here, and with all the things going on with the city manager and stuff like that, I want council to declare when the start of that committee is, so they have a full 6 months.
Have they been notified of
They,
that?
they have. So, the last person was, Charles Ballman,
He's right there.
yeah,
He's
excuse
sitting
me.
right there.
So
Sure.
Charlie. So he, I think he was the last one I understand to be notified.
Right.
So,
Basically, we gotta look at it though and say, okay, what's the last date that you can put something on the ballot for May election, if we want to get.
so just so you know, the requirement is for us to have on the ballot is May of 2025, not May of 2024. I started this early just because I know the effort is going to be large. And I also asked for, what the authority of council is, because I am still of the belief that we haven't heard everything that's going to come down from Austin that's going to need to be incorporated in this. So I don't think it's fair to say our time frame that we have, given that halfway through that, everything may change that they have to consider.
Can't you just reappoint everyone at the 6-month mark?
I believe that would be the case. And I also believe that we can extend a 6-month, I think, but this is a charter.
Yeah.
And I'm asking, how should I say, explicitly what we can do relative to the charter. And I haven't gotten an answer back on that front. And I want to make sure it's done properly. So, but I believe it's going to be very challenging for all that needs to be done in 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, you and I kind of had.
And I'm glad Charlie is going to be on it, because this is kind of right up his alley.
Okay, so this will not be on the May ballot.
We don't know. It may be, if they can get done. The requirement, and I'm just going to say it that way, the requirement is that anything that would need to go to referendum has to be done by 2025,
Right.
which would either be May or November of 2025. But it means, since we're doing early, we can do it of May of 2024. There's no reason we can't do it early, or November of 2024.
Well, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at what legally we have to be done as part of our
Understand that.
charge by charter.
But there's no problem with doing it earlier.
No, there's not.
Okay.
There is not. I mean, there's some even sitting around this table that says waiting 5 years is probably too long. So we'll see. And there's actually two charter committee members here, so Gail and Charlie.
Introducing them to one another.
So Gail Nelson, meet Charlie. Charlie, meet Gail. So, and then keeping on going, some things that you're going to hear more about. There's 2 chronic areas of improvement in the city that I'm really pushing for. And I've gotten some traction on one, and you'll hear some here probably starting in the 3rd week of September, so next couple of weeks. The first is that the Hilton is going to go through a full refurbishment for its inside, and the skin of it is starting in 2024. What's not part of that is the exterior grounds. Okay. I've been working with Bell Harbor. I've been working with the Hilton. They've, I believe the parties with the city of Nassau Bay is going to help them redevelop the exterior of that, so that you would have a whole new, like a San Luis pool area. They want to have redo the marina that's there, and that's why Bell Harbor, they're trying to look at that being there. So it may be something where the Hilton takes it over. We take it all out and put floating docks there. What I've told them is that, given that they're a hotel and that we're looking for increased heads and beds,
Yes.
I've got $1.9 million of existing funds that are discretionary today, plus $500,000 of recurring to help them do what's right there in that whole area. And I believe it's going to be done this next year.
Awesome.
Unfortunately, COVID messed up their original plans.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
That refurbishment was supposed to have started prior to COVID.
That's correct. So,
In fact, it was like 2019 was supposed to be when they were starting. And
it's there for people, if you want to like check there, I believe in January of 2024, they're going to have 2 rooms up on the top floor done because they've finalized to 2 contractors, and so they're going to do their view of what it should look like, and there's going to be a competition between those 2. Yeah. So that's what they're doing. But I would love to use our $1.9 million. And if you look at $500,000 of recurring funds, you do a 5-year bond on something that you could bring like almost $5 million to bear. I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but you could really change that whole thing. They want to have it as a destination hotel again. They think not having the marina there is a big hurdle to be a destination, and they believe their pool area is totally uncompetitive. They want to build like gazebo area for like weddings to be out there, the whole 9 yards. And I'm looking for places, and if we can help improve that chronic area of need of improvement, that to me is worthy of the city getting involved.
Now, do we ever use any of the hot money for any of our city events?
We do. So when I say that $500,000, that's above and beyond all that. So we have I think we get somewhere like around, and Jaime, if you hear, is about $800,000 of revenue a year, which we spend about $300,000 on things to support 4th of July, Gulf Coast Film Festival, I'm hoping a reindeer run, the Cunningham run, the things along that line that are all activities that are geared to bring people into the city and hopefully stay at night. So
I know our own marina is still looking for some help. I understand they're trying to rebuild a floating dock. I'd like to see some funds go that way if they approach you about it.
Yeah, I have not been approached that. I've been approached with a leaking wall, but I haven't been approached for the marina yet.
Okay.
I'll give credit to leaving the person, and somebody's even challenged to say, that marina could get expanded if the pool wasn't there. So why don't we move the pool down to the big park, David Braun, and let them run it down there through a lease of the city. And that's.
Val Harbor's got real issues with parking.
Pardon me?
Val Harbor's got real issues with parking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but Hilton does not. They're long on parking.
Yeah, I know.
They're long on parking. The other one is, you've heard me talk about the waterfront area, starting at the Sapphire, all the way through the Bay House, the professional building, even the old Boeing building. I guess is it Lockheed? Now I keep forgetting.
Yes.
And Mike Hess's vacant property. We have begun. We had already started the same process that actually helped create this area, the Griffin Properties redevelopment. And what I mentioned, I believe at the end of September, 3rd, 4th week of September, Sue Darcy has been contracted, and they should have the results, just like we did before, of the marketing study of what all can be done there. And that'll be the basis for us to put forward the beginning of a communication to developers, so that we can target that area just like we targeted where we now have from like Upper Bay to Point Lookout that put in the Voyager, that put in this building. put in all the front up on Nassau Road 1, and we want to do that on the waterfront there. So that's going to start having traction. Call it October 1st. That's when it'll kick off. I didn't want it, Sue, to go forward before we got a permanent city manager. So she was contracted around the June, July timeframe, so that they would take 3 months to have it available for Nathan when he's here, basically day one, because that's going to be a high objective, a high priority.
Unfortunately, our water is very shallow in there.
Yeah, there may be some. That's what I'm saying is it may take some real funds,
Yeah.
and dredging may be part of that.
And it's helpful.
So yeah, I mean, I learned, I got my sailing captain's license out of the sailing group that was there prior to Ike, and you had to have a real knowledge of where those channels were, otherwise you got stuck. The last thing that I'll mention, and Gail knows this, is we've gotten quite a group of pigeons that have decided to multiply down at the big park, or David Braun Park, and particularly what I'm worried about is the pavilion. I've dealt with a lot of things. I'll steal what I mentioned to Gail. Is I used to have a plant that was right next to a seed plant, and we would have the dangest problem with pigeons, because they would go feed on all the seed and then come roost in my plant, and they weren't hungry, so it's not like we could do things. And I saw your email, Gail, about ultrasonic type things, but my issue is that the excrement from pigeons are highly acidic. We're going to tear up that pavilion if we don't take care of these pigeons. So I know Jim DeForest has helped me in regards to things. Gail just sent me some stuff on maybe ultrasonic, but you're going to see probably before the holidays some effort to capture, relocate, go to pigeon paradise or pigeon heaven or whatever.
Have you looked into, a couple cans of paint? Because if you paint the top of the pavilion blue, like light blue, then the pigeons think it's the sky, and they won't.
I've heard that with geese and ducks. I haven't heard that with things, because they tend to. Yeah, well, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at it because those are asphalt shingles up there. So.
No, on the inside.
They're also they are up on top too.
Oh, okay.
And my personal opinion, and I know I'm going to get reams of things, is that these are pests. They were a birding trail, which is why there's a sensitivity. But even the birding groups say that both the pigeons as well as the Peking ducks are invasive pests.
Yeah.
I'm only talking, even though I've known some people say we should even go after the things, and we've done that in the past. But I particularly want to focus on the pigeons, because best I can see is we've got at least 300 pigeons down there now, if not more, and they're gonna absolutely tear up our place.
Would a falcon help?
Maybe that's why I've got a hawk in my front yard. But I've seen what I've seen is they're attracted to the food, and in my mind we can move them around, but I think at the end of the day we need to get rid of them. I'm just going to get rid of them.
Put a note in the compass. Please do not feed the pigeons.
Yeah, good luck with that. But I'm just saying that's going to be, and I want to give everybody forewarning that that's what I'm going to do.
Well, there are people who come down there with bags of food and feed fish.
Yep. So
I go to the park every night, I see it.
there's no question.
They're pests.
I know we're a little over, but there was a lot of information I thought was relevant. So any questions, anything?
Anything new on the businesses by Five Guys?
None, zero. None.
I think all those lots are, all those particular lots are still open for.
They're vacant.
Yeah,
I don't even see a sign that says coming. I don't even see a sign that says coming.
We don't need another coffee shop.
We don't.
Come on, we can't regulate coffee shops.
You know, there's been some interest of some fast food in at the Luby's place, but I've been hesitant to have that go forward.
I want to thank you for the fogger that came by,
Yep.
mosquito fogger.
Yep, it
Came
needed
by
to be.
last night. It was good timing after we finally had a little rain.
Yep.
I sent our, in contact with a group called, Sailing Angels, and they're inviting military and first responders to go on a boat parade. So I sent that information, and next, on October 7th,
Okay.
and sent it off to Tim and, Chief Cromie and Tom George, so they can invite their folks to come and participate.
Good. I would say include Nathan and Zena in on that too, if you would please. You know, and I would say here and somebody mentioned about the hotel motel tax for things we do at the city. One of the new things is that we're supporting Jim for his effort in the supporting soldiers that have PSTD. So that's been an add-on to the budget, and that's something that's a very, very worthy project.
Are the IT problems all behind us now?
No. I think the problems have run their course. Getting all the data back has been the communication. What we got was you can get up to probably 100%, but more than likely 85 to 90%. We're struggling for the 85 to 90%. So, no, I wish it was.
What about the hardening aspect?
That Tom has done a really good job, and we basically gave him the go-ahead to do what's necessary. A lot of what we're doing is going up onto the cloud. We even said that we considered that a catastrophic event, that if we needed to go into our reserves that are done to be able to repair that, we would, because we don't want this to happen again. He's done a good job with that.
Any expectation on when we can expect something? It is like 18410 Kingstown Court.
All I know is the clock has been set, and I've seen some effort. You and I were out there, that one time, and I was actually surprised with seeing some of the progress that they've had. I know people are communicating to me, and I'm going out there regularly. So there's activity. I just don't know. I'm hesitant to go in unannounced onto their property, so I don't know what it's been in the last month.
I haven't heard anything, but it is hot. So
Yeah. So, but when I heard that there was potentially some people on the property other than the Jameson things, I went on the property, to make sure that was safe. So I thank you for your help. And but it looked like progress had been made, and the clock has been set. So they've got 155 days from, I think it was call it on or about June 1st. So they've got to keep going.
are we talking about any deadlines?
Yeah, that's 100. Suppose there's 155 days from on or about June 1st, and there's about 30 days of lagniappe for rain days and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a deadline where we can then start taking legal action again if they don't. Christmas, call it first of the year.
Okay.
We're all gonna hold our breath.
But I've seen some progress there, so I'm hoping,
I was thinking what we could do is we have that astronaut one. I've seen the astronaut one a couple of years. What we could do is we could put all the astronauts' pictures on each house that they have.
Yep.
Not just her or
There's-
the previous president.
So
Put both of them on
it's
there.
funny you say that, because there's people that say with now you have like this Bluetooth, you can not only like put a sign or a picture, you could put on some marking, and you can go through and you can actually have a message, an audio, for people who got Bluetooth, and we could have quite a message there.
You could say, this house was originally occupied by this astronaut,
Yep.
and he went to the moon, he did this, he did this. Currently, the owner of the house is May Jameson.
Correct.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to say anything that's not factual or even stretched.
Correct.
But you can let them make the inference to
As part of the Hilton, they were saying they wouldn't mind a how you see some of the scooters, but they were saying maybe with a golf cart that if there was something there to be able to facilitate people going to events either in Nassau or they really want to go across the street to Space Center Houston, which has its challenges. But
You can't go across public highway with that golf cart.
I understand you can, but you just need to get permissions. You can't as of right now. It's not something that hasn't been done before. So, but it's. Yeah, Department of Tech, the DOT gets involved. They have the ultimate say. Let me say it that way. So, any other questions? Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Janie?
very good.
I'm really pleased with our trajectory right now. We're really happy. Sorry about that, Charlie.
All we can do is